Your electricity bill is about to become collateral damage in a fight you never signed up for. New York just did something no state has ever done. Governor Kathy Hochul signed a moratorium that slams the door on new hyperscale data centers, freezing them for up to a year. Sounds like a niche zoning story. It isn't. And there's a reason the biggest tech companies on earth are quietly furious about it. Here's why this is happening now. Data centers are the physical backbone of the AI boom. Every chatbot query, every generated image, every model training run happens inside these massive buildings packed with servers that drink electricity and water at industrial scale. New York's grid is straining. Ratepayers are watching bills climb. According to The Verge, Hochul's order blocks new environmental permits for these facilities. And what comes next is the part that actually matters. So let's get specific about what this order actually does. It targets hyperscale data centers, the giant ones, the kind built by Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and Meta to power cloud services and AI. For up to a year, no new environmental permits. That means no new construction of the biggest facilities in the state during that window. Why should you care if you don't work in tech? Because these buildings compete with you for two things you use every day: power and water. When a hyperscale campus plugs into the grid, it can consume as much electricity as a small city. Utilities recover those infrastructure costs as somewhere. Often that somewhere is your monthly bill. So the moratorium isn't really about servers. It's about who pays for the AI gold rush. Quick one. If this is useful, a like genuinely helps more people find it. Now, here's the mini payoff on that first question. New York moved first, but it did not move alone. Lawmakers across the country have been watching data center growth explode, and their constituents' bills follow. New York just gave them a template. There's a twist here almost no one is talking about. Here's the angle the headlines skip. This moratorium is not the end of the story. It might be the smaller half of it. There's a second bill. It already passed the state legislature. It sits on Hochul's desk right now, waiting for a signature, and it could restrict data center development far more aggressively and far more permanently than a temporary freeze ever could. Think about the players here. On one side, the hyperscalers, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Meta, who have committed tens of billions of dollars to AI infrastructure and need somewhere to put it. They are the ones caught flat-footed. On the other side, state regulators and ordinary ratepayers who never agreed to subsidize this expansion through their utility bills. And in the middle sits Hochul, holding a pen and a decision that will ripple far past New York's borders. Here's the personal stake. If you live in a state with cheap power and open land, Virginia, Texas, Ohio, Arizona, the companies frozen out of New York don't stop building. They relocate. Your region becomes the pressure valve, your grid, your water table. Your bills absorb what New York just refused. The moratorium doesn't kill demand, it reroutes it. And the last piece is the one that reframes everything. So here's the part that flips the whole story. The moratorium everyone is reporting on is temporary, up to a year, but the bill waiting in Hochul's desk is the real weapon because it targets the thing companies fear most. Not delay, but permanent limits on how and where they can build. A 1-year pause is an inconvenience. A structural restriction is a signal to every other state house in America that says the free ride is over. Here is exactly what happens next. Other Democratic governors in high-cost, grid-strained states will copy this within 12 months. Watch California and New Jersey. The hyperscalers will accelerate their pivot to friendlier states and to building their own power generation, nuclear deals, gas plants, private grids, so they never have to ask a hostile regulator for permission again. The fight moves from zoning boards to power plants. None of this was ever really about servers. It was about who controls electricity in the age of AI. Before I go, here is your tech tip of the day. If you work with data or logs and you're still opening giant files in a text editor, stop. Use ripgrep. The command is arg. It searches entire directories recursively, respects your gitignore by default, and is dramatically faster than grep on large code bases. Try rg error, type p to search only Python files for the word error across a whole project in milliseconds. Add C3 to show 3 lines of context around each match, which is perfect for reading log entries in C2. Once you switch, plain grep feels broken. That is your tip for today. If this made you rethink where your next electricity bill is really going, that's the point. Watch what Hochul does with that second bill. That's it for today. Subscribe to FutureEdge. There's a new one every day.